Hello and good afternoon, Otters. Welcome to the final week of the regular season here in the Blue Otter Premier League. We do know all of our playoff teams, but heading into this last week, there is currently a four-way tie at
Mhm.
3 wins, and all of the teams that are part of that tie could finish in any position from third to sixth based on the results in this final week. Commencing the melee, we will have the team that gave the Literal Monkeys their first win of the season last week up against the team that has not given a win to anyone all season. Dorado Gaming versus Team Solo Invade, our second showdown for this Saturday, will be High Alert playing for Pride versus Elysium, who are coming off a dominant 2-0 over the Spire. Bringing you the call from the production room, I am Crewman44, joined by the glorious Gopherino as per usual. Gopher, how you feeling today?
Pretty decent. My nose has been sniffly all week, so that's fun. But thankfully, it's not like full cold territory. It's just kind of mucusy, so I have to blow my nose a bit more often. But should be an exciting series of games here. Of course, a lot of playoff spots have been kind of locked here. Like, it's to no one's surprise that Team Solo Invade, they've kind of cinched a playoff spot, a pretty high seed at that one too here, and they're definitely the favored ones here today. Of course, Dorado, they've been having a bit of a come up here. But it is always Dorado. They've had some shaky results, to say the least, and their consistency, it does kind of fluctuate at times, it feels.
It sure does. It sure does. I remember just last week during our, unfortunately we weren't able to have an episode of Otter Talk this week, but last week on our episode, I remember there were a couple of our guests were really praising Dorado, saying that, oh, they were just kind of taking it easy at first, but now they're locked in. Now they're really taking the Premier League seriously. And then they went and lost to the Monkeys, unfortunately. So it seems like consistency rather is something that is still plaguing Dorado, even here at the very end of the regular season. But they are locked in for the playoffs. So there is that. They do still have that time to try to find the consistency that they've been missing. If they can, then they definitely could end up being a contender.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll have to see. If they can put up a strong showing tonight, that's always good. Preferred situation for them is that they take the dub here. That gives them a lot more shots at playoffs. So we'll see what it comes to. Champions Select has started up here. A lot of expected bans so far. I say a lot. It's only been 2, but I don't think we're going to see too much surprises here on the ban board, even with the new Actually, no, the new patch hasn't come out yet. Or no, there's a kind of new patch, but that was last week, I think.
Yeah, I forget. I think we're gonna have the next patch is this coming Wednesday. But I'm not 100% sure. It is. But yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. Of course, Dorado would love to pick up the win here over Team Solo Invade. It's pretty tall order, like you said. But even if Dorado managed to get a win in even just a single game, that still is going to give them more points and could be the difference in actually moving them up a couple of places in the standings. So currently they are in 6th. Well, they're tied for 5th. At 23 points. They're 1 point behind, I believe it is Conduit and the Spire right now, who are at 24 points. So we'll revisit that a little bit more later. We've got Cho'Gath here on the B1 Gopherino.
Yeah, and I know Cho'Gath, even after the nerfs directed at mid, a lot of people kind of still like this champion. It is, of course, strong in the top lane, flex to the mid lane. I think after the nerfs, it is still leaning a little bit more towards top, but if you want to go for the Speedster Cho'Gath in the mid lane, that is definitely still possible. Very strong front line. Does lack solid engage, though. You're very reliant on trying to flank someone with all that move speed or just landing really good ruptures. But you have much more picks in the draft here. Hopefully, we see Dorado lock in some extra engage here, unless they're really confident that Team Soul Invade's just going to basically run into their comp 24/7.
Yeah. I mean, that's not really Team Solo Invade's modus operandi necessarily. They are going to lock in the Skarner here for the side of TSI. This is one of Caxie's favorites, something he's played quite a bit this season. And then the Zeri, going to be going into that bot lane. It's a pretty comfortable draft so far. Pretty comfortable opening 2 picks, I would say, for TSI.
And the Zai response here doesn't scale as hard as the Zeri, but Zai is just kind of one of those carries where she's pretty reliant, she scales pretty well, has that hard 2-item power spike, but spiked pretty well in 1 item. Flexible in a lot of comps just thanks to the ulti, and your feathers give you a lot of damage if you're able to place them well in fights. So Dorado definitely leaving this comp flexible so far. I'm wondering what they're going to lock in here. I'm leaning towards a support here, honestly. They could do the Lovers Duo bot if they want to, crewman, but it's actually going to be Udyr Prio. I think they brought this out last week, if I'm not mistaken.
They did. They did. They played it. Walk Warlock played the Udyr in game number 1 against the Monkeys, and that was the game that the Dorado, the side of Dorado managed to win. Walk Warlock was like 8-0, actually, I believe, in that game on the Udyr. So definitely don't mind him seeing bust that one out again. The Darius, as we can see, did get banned away. I'm still holding out hope that Walk Warlock's going to be able to get his hands on the Darius at some point, but
maybe
not in this one.
I am kind of thankful that they're at least targeting the jungle Darius next patch. I don't know if they're going too overboard with nerfs when it comes to clear speed. Because I actually haven't seen. I've been spamming Arena, but either way, yeah, I know it's been on the up and up. Anivia though is something interesting here. I feel like Team Soul Invade has picked this before. I remember seeing an Anivia earlier in this season, so it might have been them. Anivia, of course, great against run-at-you champions like the Cho'Gath, like the Udyr, because when you have to run around a wall, just all those extra units mean you're going to take longer to get to the backline, you're taking more damage, and it gives your carries more time to just run away.
Absolutely, yeah. Should be a great team fighting tool for the side of Team Solo Invade. Something that we know they do love to go for. Into our second ban phase now. I think banning away from the Azir from Korra is probably a good call. She's had some really solid games on the Azir. So, I believe that was also something that was being played in Dorado's one game win that they had last week.
Yeah, so, I feel like it was. I remember they had some really good shuffles.
Yeah. Yeah, and then the Smolder is going to get banned away as well. So this is actually something else that Korra has been playing over there for Dorado. Quite a lot of the Smolder mid. So it definitely seems like TSI are targeting Korra with the second phase of bans. But it could easily still just be that Cho'Gath in the mid lane, right? You were just talking about that earlier.
Yeah. Yeah, the Cho'Gath mid, I don't know how it does into Anivia. Because the Anivia does not mind just doing a farm fest against you and sitting at a bit of a range. Of course, though, if you land a silence as this Cho'Gath, it is very easy to just run down this Anivia. So another thing to keep in mind. But we'll have to see once we get to the second phase here. I don't think Dorado's played the mid lane Cho'Gath yet this season. Correct me if I'm wrong, but something we will have to keep an eye out for. But before our pick coming up here, I'm expecting the support so we can see the counter pick top.
Yeah, I think that would make sense to me, but, you know, they tend to just do a lot of tanks in the top lane for the side of TSI, so I guess they don't necessarily mind just blind picking the set here. I mean, it's not necessarily an SK style of champion. You know, we've seen SK on a lot of, like, the Orns this season. We've seen him on, like, what are some other tanks that SK has played? There's probably been a Malfighter game or two in there. I can't really remember right now, but the set does seem like a little bit more of a risky blind pick.
Yeah, I know we've seen a decent amount of set in this league when picked into the Cho'Gath. You have good enough damage early that you can pressure the Cho'Gath, keep them off those minions from last hitting, because a Cho'Gath who can't last hit has drastically lower sustain, unsurprisingly, in lane. But there is still the question of, is it Cho'Gath mid, is it Cho'Gath top? We'll find out with this last pick, unless we get another flex pick here. I'm expecting Cho'Gath top. I mean, you can survive against the set. The set does have to work a little. And if the set's playing overly aggressive, that can open you up to some ganks here. Ezreal mid?
Oh, interesting. So that means the Cho'Gath, I mean, I guess Udyr does some magic damage as well. But double 80 carry comp coming through for Dorado. Kind of feels like they're gonna try to match a TSI in the team fights. That's kind of what this draft says to me. I don't know if I necessarily love that strategy though, Gopherino.
Yeah, especially Ezreal into the Anivia here, I feel is going to be rough. Ezreal, kind of renowned for not really having the best wave clears in ADC. Early on, level 1, it's like okay, because you can just auto Q auto, that helps you push faster, but post 6, when the Anivia has the ulti and you're having to commit the True Shot Barrage to even like kind of contest the wave push, it's going to be rough here. And double ADCs into a Skarner, who will be more than happy getting Tab Ice plus Randuin's into your comp, or even Frozen Heart, you know, something to keep an eye out for. Can be rough. Could also be the fabled AP Ezreal. We almost never see it, but I would like to see it. Is funny.
I didn't even realize that was playable at the moment. I haven't seen AP Ezreal in quite a while.
Yeah. I mean, even pre-rework, you didn't really see it. Except for that one meta, where they had the newly changed jungle item.
Yeah, there have been some
Woundwave?
notable moments in LOL history. Ezreal, definitely one of those champions that's knows his way around the shop, let's say. But
Yeah.
you know, they are, you know, Skarner, you were mentioning the fact that he's going to enjoy playing into these AD carries, but they are two of the safer AD carries in the game, right? Both the Ezreal and the Xayah have ways of getting away from that Skarner. And for the side of TSI, Gopher, you know, I feel like they have significantly less frontline than they usually do. You know, they've gone for the Janna here on the R5. I really feel like they could have just picked an engage support into the Rakan. You know, the Rakan really tends to struggle against hard CC, right? But not what TSI decided to go for in this one. What do you make of their
the
draft?
Janna Monsoon, I can see the angle here, because if you bought back the Udyr, if you bought back the Cho'Gath, you know, as I mentioned with the Anivia, the more time they have to spend running at you, the more time your carries just have to pelt away at them. And the Tornado, I think you can time it well enough to stop the Rakan great entrance. You have to be really quick on your fingers, though, to do that if you can. So another way to shut down the run at you nature of this Dorado comp. Of course, though, I'm curious how Dorado's going to navigate these fights here, crewmen, because you have the double ADC, so clearly you want to go for team fights like you mentioned here, but they don't have the strongest engage outside of a really good Rakan.
Yeah, that's definitely true. The engage really is all down to the Rakan. I mean, if we do have Speed Demon Cho'Gath, then maybe he can find an angle there somehow. But I think that's a really good point, Gopherino. And you know, to further exacerbate that issue, you know, Team Solo Invade, they've got a lot of great peel tools, right? With the Anivia alongside the Janna, as you've already mentioned for us. And you know, also of course, as we know, Team Solo Invade. Playing for those objectives is their bread and butter. They're always on time to those objectives. So if they're the ones who have control over the area, that's going to make it even more difficult for Dorado to find a way in.
Yeah. And I wonder how Dorado's going to navigate that. Of course, in the early game, you know, if you're just looking for ganks, it's like 2v2s, 3v3s, you don't have to worry about that. But when it comes to the 5v5s, yeah, I think we've both made it clear, crewman, that like Dorado, they're going to have a lot of issues getting into this. Maybe not if they're like massively far ahead and your Cho'Gath's just so tanky you can just walk into the back line after 3 attempts and still be fine. It's gonna be rough here.
Absolutely, absolutely. So you're leaning more towards Team Solo Invade in terms of the outcome of this draft. You feel like they came away with the better end of it?
Yeah, just a lot of it just based on how they can kind of deny Dorado's engage for the most part here. Of course, if they get hit by a 5-man recombo, then, you know, then it's an easy follow-up. But otherwise, you're going to match tit for tat when it comes with just carry damage here. Zarya and Anivia scale up pretty damn well. And they have enough tools to just bop you out.
Possibly. You know, Team Solo Invade definitely heavily favored going into this one. But Dorado, you know, we've seen a lot of variance in their performance. Maybe if they're playing at their peak level today, they could end up surprising us and taking it to the undefeated squad. Don't go anywhere, guys. We'll be right back with game number 1. Alright folks, welcome to Summoner's Rift, our first game of the day. Dorado Gaming, of course, as we can see here on the blue side, and we'll have Team Solo Invade on the red. One thing that we didn't mention in the drafting phase, that the side of Team Solo Invade are playing with a substitute mid laner this afternoon. We've got Aguri stepping in for NBK. We'll see if Aguri is going to be able to keep up those consistent carry performances that NBK has been showing us all season.
Something to keep an eye out for. I mean, DSI, pretty damn solid all season long. So, they're hoping to definitely finish it out on a strong note here. Of course, Dorado, we do really want to see what they can do here. Because even taking one game off, like you said, helps a good bit in the standings. But if they could take the series off, the reigning first placers here, I wouldn't say champions, at least not yet, that'd be a huge confidence boost.
Definitely would be. The Raptor War did go down, and then it did get cleared away as Hacks with a sweeper start. Gonna be able to clear away that vision, deny that information from the side of Dorado. For the side of Team Solo Invade, they did get a couple of wards down, but not very deep, so they're not going to be 100% sure where the Udyr is starting either.
Yeah, if you take a look at the trinkets here, I mean, 4 members have committed their trinket use. I think what Hacks did is they placed that ward there in the middle brush in the bot lane, and then back to pick up the sweeper. That's why they're in the top side. Unless that was Unleashed who committed that one. Who knows? But
Frozen Bullet almost landing that initial grand entrance, but Hacks with the backstep, and the Rakan gonna take a bunch of punishment on the way out after looking for that engage. Xayah Rakan are not really the strongest laners, right? And once they have level 6, then they can start to skirmish a little bit more, but not really that proficient at fighting in these first few levels.
Yeah, granted, level 1, it is really insane, because you start W on Kai'Sa, and the Rakan, you start your W as well. That gives you an insane amount of just 2v2 power, because Rakan, of course, also gets the empowered auto attacks when Xayah presses the W button.
Wow, very true. Yeah, SK finding some decent trades as he gets hit by a Rupture, though, right as I say it. Yeah. Oh, RJ. Okay. Yeah, definitely getting chunked out a little bit down here towards this bottom side. We do have both of our junglers are clearing towards opposite sides. Unleashed is pathing up, and Warlock is pathing down towards this bottom lane.
But definitely a hard yank here for Warlock, because Zarya, of course, has her dash, and Hacks has the Tornado, so, you know, good luck getting through that here as the Udyr, unless you commit the empowered ramp stance, which I think is definitely a possibility. But, you know. you do typically like using the Phoenix stance for maximum damage.
Certainly, yeah. Something we discussed a little bit last week when we saw the Udyr, right? Go for Reno. The fact that if you do go for the empowered bear stance, you don't really have any damage for the fight afterwards. So, but Warlock was able to excuse me, make it work quite well last week. So we'll see if he has a similar performance. Here comes Unleashed towards the top lane as Trouble Killer perhaps in a little bit of danger. Relatively healthy though. So he's going to be able to retreat back underneath the tier 1 turret. Doesn't even have to flash or anything. As Augury taking some punishment here in the mid lane. The Anivia going down extremely low.
Yeah, eats another Mystic shot there on the back end and has to be careful if Core is able to Arcane Shift on in. Although I assume Core used the Arcane Shift for that initial just hop on top of the Anivia. And Augury probably just going to look to clear out this wave the best they can back and then port back in.
Nice double tornado there from Hax. Tortuga not quite able to find the Blade Caller. Frozen Bullet. Eating some bullets.
Uh-huh.
Nobody going down just yet. Very casual game so far. And again, Unleashed making another appearance towards this top lane. Trouble Killer might have to burn the flash this time. Finds the double knockup though with the Rupture. And here comes Warlock to push away the enemy top jungle. Escort his Cho'Gath out to safety. Trouble Killer did burn the teleporters. We're taking a look at the bot lane. Peel burned there from Hax. Make sure they don't take too much damage in that trade.
Yeah, but consistently, this Janna Zeri combo for the TSI bot side, they've been doing a good job of punishing how much Frozen Bullet has been trying to go in on them. You know, it feels like every time we pan back to bot here, the Grand Entrance is being popped, and they're just dodging out on it casually.
Yeah, absolutely. So the Janna especially has a really easy time with that. Ooh, the Blade Caller's gonna land this time though. Is Hax. Oh, I cursed him. He's gonna go down for first blood. Tortuga flashes in there for the last feather. RJ trying to fight his way out of this one. Pops the barrier, tries to get one back. It's not gonna happen. Double kill for Tortuga.
Oh, yeah. Bit of a caster curse there, but all it takes is one good Grand Entrance there, and that is enough damage to seal the deal here against the very squishy Janna. Hax is playing 2-0 here for this Zai. I'm curious what this is going to buy on the back here. Okay, Caulfield's and Pickaxe. Caulfield's and not Pickaxe. Oh, Lord. Still pretty nasty. Okay, they're still deciding. Caulfield's, refillable, crit cloak, and no boost.
All right, fair enough, yeah.
Pretty solid, though.
Oh, what was that, Tugger?
Oh, yeah, I mean, that's really damn solid here.
Yeah, absolutely. Just halfway to the first item already is the Xayah. Feeling really great about that first purchase. But yeah, for the side of Hax, you know, just losing track of the feathers there, unfortunately. You know, it was getting hit, rooted up by the Blade Caller is what allowed Frozen Bullet to get in there for the follow-up knockup. It was definitely well played by the Xayah Rakan duo. As nobody's making any moves towards this first dragon just yet. I'm sure TSI would like to, but the fact that they're losing out at the moment in that bot lane is going to make that difficult. So Unleashed and Augury are moving up towards that topside river instead, which means RJ has to be a little bit careful here. The flash in for Warlock, but Zeri just able to skate over the wall.
It does get him control over this dragon pit though, and first dragon of the game going towards them. Gonna be nice to have here. Get yourself a little bit of stacks, because we know TSI, as mentioned, they love fighting over objectives. Well, you got the first one of the game here.
Yeah, it is going to be that trade, the old grubs for dragon trade that we see so often these days. So, Team Solo Invade not going to be too upset about giving over that first dragon. We'll see what kind of soul we get this game. Looks like it's going to be an ocean dragon second, so the odds of getting a really powerful soul are quite high.
As a quick little stream break here, producer is restarting stream.
Peek behind the curtain there for everyone. Yeah. But we're back now, don't worry guys.
Yeah. Hopefully this fixes everything. Nope.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a bit difficult, but yeah, hopefully we'll have. It's looking okay for right now, so we'll see how that does continue. As again, we're pretty even across the board here. You know, obviously a little bit of a lead for Tortuga in this bot lane after picking up that double kill earlier on. But besides that, still a very even game that we have here.
Yeah. Pretty damn even.
I was going to mention earlier on, I think I got interrupted by a little bit of a skirmish, as I'm going to be interrupted again. Frozen Bullet finding the grand entrance. Howling Gale not going to get the knockup. But I was going to say... Agori? Not really an angle here. Tortuga and Bullet didn't have a ward, but they're able to play safe regardless. I guess there was good communication there. Didn't have knowledge of where the enemy mid laner was, so they're going to play respectfully. But I was going to say, Goferino, that I feel like a slower pace in this early game is favorable to Team Solo Invade, given how they like to play. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'd say so too. I mean, Zeri plus Anivia should scale up just really insanely well against this enemy comp. I mean, Ezreal, Xayah, no slouches in the late game either as carries, but they just don't scale as hard as the two on the opposite side. It's something you're going to want to do here if you are Dorado, accelerate the game just a little bit more. So you can do with that. I mean, gang the early dragon, gang the early double kill bot lane, that's definitely one way to do it. You're going to want some more gas in the tank here if they can get another few kills here on their carries. That would be very much appreciated.
Yeah. You know, it's just a little bit unfortunate because, you know, you have that early advantage in the bot lane. You want to try to be able to accelerate that, but Zeri Janna is just a lane that's quite difficult to punish, right? Janna being able to have the ability to peel with the ultimate as well as the Q makes turret dives extremely risky, and Xayah Rakan are not necessarily the greatest at setting those plays up in the first place. So we have slowed down quite a bit here as far as the pace is concerned in this first game. Unleashed hovering towards the bottom.
Would be spotted.
If he moved into the river, he certainly would be, yes. But I don't think he's been spotted quite yet. There is Frozen Bullet. He's going to go in with the grand entrance. Here is the Skarner. The Feather Storm is going to come out very early. The quickness is going to be counteracted by the Impale. Frozen Bullet now flashes away to try to stay alive. The Anivia roam coming through as well, though. The slows are there. Walk Warlock has arrived, but is he too late? Just RJ. He flashes in, finds that first kill for the Zeri, and that's going to be TSI on the board.
Does take quite a bit there, but in the end, they are able to get the kill, knowing that this Tortuga Frozen Bullet bot lane, you know, they kind of keep wanting to go all in, so just let them push on in, come on through. Yes, you only got one kill, but at the very least, you do blow a lot of summoners on the opposite side here. Frozen Bullet has no summons. Tortuga is flashless. Also had to commit the ulti there, so that's going to be some time till that's back off cooldown, and I don't know if that's going to be available for the dragon here coming up in about a minute's time.
Yeah, I don't think it will be. I think the cooldown on the Featherstorm is quite long early on. You know, we can see it is about half up right now, so maybe Tortuga will have it back. We can see it right now. It's 65 seconds is the cooldown on that, so it's going to have it back about 15 seconds after the dragon spawn. So if they can delay just a little bit, then the Xayah will have that ultimate back. The grubs are spawning right now, though. Walk Warlock currently in position in this top side river. We can see Unleashed is moving over as well. Gonna get some poke in here. You do have more members in the river right now. If you really want to, it is typically pretty damn easy to turn and burn and just grab one grub. It's usually the follow-up grubs that take longer because, you know, you have to go through the health bar multiple times. Troll over the pit though. This is on a ward. We'll see what Unleashed wants to do right now. Unleashed pathing towards mid lane here, probably looking for a play. I mean, TSI, they still got time here to contest the grubs, but looks like they call us dragon. Yeah, I mean, they did move their bottom lane into mid here. As we can see, RJ and Hax joined up with Unleashed in the mid lane right now, but they're not willing to try and force their way into that top side river, so they're just going to get this mid push, and then I think they will probably look for that dragon, like you just said, Goferino, as Cora taking a little bit of a chunk. All of the grubs did go over, so Walk Warlock could definitely make a beeline towards this bot side river if they want to try to contest for the second dragon. Looks like that is going to be the play. Be careful, Tortuga. Not quite in the fight just yet. Rotating around. A pretty risky teleport there for SK. It's pretty very aggressive angle for the set. Does find the facebreaker onto Walk, who does respect it. Flashes away from the enemy top laner. And that committal of SK is going to allow TSI to finish off that dragon. It's Mountain Soul. Alrighty then.
But yeah, they see the teleport come out and know, like, all right, this is a 4v5. Let's not push our luck here on this one. You're giving up a dragon. You got all 3 gribs on the top side here.
Will soon fall.
You know, you're fine with that.
Pretty nice map movements here, I think, from the side of Team Solo Invade. Clearly, they would have liked to contest for that second round of grubs, but not overcommitting for that. And then the fact that they had the teleports on their solo laners to not drop too many of these waves. RJ, ooh, that's a bit of a close call, but is still Zeri.
Yeah, Zeri, bit of a crime of champion design here.
Yeah, they're one of the big ones for sure.
Champion just feels impossible to balance. Or has like the thinnest of margins you can keep the champion balanced on. But
yeah, it's when you give the role that's all about carrying a champion with that much movement speed. Okay, Tortuga potentially in trouble. Does, of course, have the Featherstorm available. Is going to go for that. Does get the root onto Unleashed, but now is trapped in the alcove. And Unleashed, already with the Heartsteel done, should have plenty of damage to take down the bird. In the battle of Scorpion versus Bird, it is Scorpion who comes out on top.
Unfortunate timing there, because Frozen Bullet had just completed their recall, if I'm not mistaken. Just leaving alone at Xayah there.
Dang, just left his lover out to dry like that. Wild.
Wanted to finish the wave there. Not going to happen. Turret. And we've grabbed your first turret at that, by the looks of it. So that's going to be a nice chunk of change here in the Zeri's pocket. We know how scary this champion gets, how hard she scales. And first turret gold definitely going to help you come online that much earlier.
Absolutely. So we are now, that was the first of the feats, the feat of turret destruction, I suppose we call that one. Is the first one that's been claimed. The teams are currently tied at 2 kills and 2 neutral objectives apiece. So very, very close to those feats going over. Could definitely go either way. I believe our next neutral is probably going to be the Rift Herald. It's going to be less than a minute on that one.
Let's see how much teams want to fight for that. Like you said, the kills one still available here for whoever wants to get those. Of course, if Team Soul Invade grabs the next kill, they just get it flat out because they got the first turret.
Scourge for a little bit of damage over the wall. Does connect that last Mystic shot onto RJ. Trouble Killer moving in aggressively. Not quite going to find the knockup with that. Rupture just getting some mid-prio, or mid-control, I should say, for the side of Dorado. Trouble Killer continuing to push forward into the enemy jungle. SK level 11, though, on the set. Has to be respected. There comes Unleashed once again. Korra with the Arcane Shift to try to get away. The Impale has to be flashed, though. But here comes Frozen Bullet for the counter engage. Does find a couple with the quickness, but the team just can't close the distance. This is the problem we were talking about, right? Rakan found the angle, but Cho'Gath and Udyr, they're running as fast as they can, but they just couldn't quite catch up to follow up on that engage.
It's going to secure the Herald here, costing you a lot on the bot side, though. This Anivia for Aguri has been here for quite some time. Anivia, of course, not renowned for her turret taking prowess, so even with the grabs the auto deck. There you go.
Yeah, it's going to get it in the end. That's a lot of gold onto the Anivia. So she's going to be quite powerful. Probably has the second item done in base after that. And so it is all going to come down now to the next kill. Whoever gets the next kill is going to get the feats. Rock Warlock is going to find his red buff is gone. It is also going to find a bird that's trying to recall in the jungle. The blast going very unfortunate for Aguri, but does have Unleashed still in the area. Rock Warlock could be in trouble, but Aguri critically has not had time to go back to spend that gold just yet. Rock Warlock will be able to walk away. In comes SK, finds the Facebook under Tortuga, is going to get out the Featherstorm. Nobody goes down. Still waiting to see who's going to get that third kill. Go for Reno.
Yeah, does give over some good positioning here to Team Solo Invade over the Dragon. I mean, you can see they already pushed up their vision line some, bought Tri-Brush, the Raptor's entrance. There's even one on the wall behind red buff here, so they're going to know all the moves, all the angles that Dorado could be going for when they are contesting this Dragon. Dorado, I feel like they do really want this Dragon. Of course, not do or die this Dragon, mind you, but they're going to want the extra juice in the tank here to help with their teamfight deficits when it comes to engaging.
Really like this play for Dorado, dropping the Herald in mid to get that priority. Now they could move into the river and immediately start up the dragon if they'd like to, but they want to make sure they can get their value.
Feels rough, but it's not over yet, thankfully, for Dorado fans. They can make the comeback here. It's just, it does feel like the comp not having the best access to the backline is going to make things so much more difficult.
Yeah, I think we have seen some of the issues with the giraffe for Dorado already in this one. And furthermore, you know, I've seen enough Team Solo Invade games this season to have a pretty good idea, I think, how this one is going to end. I have a theory, at the very least, Gopherino. You know, last week, when Team Solo Invade took down Omega in the clean 2-0, you know, that was a match that a lot of people, myself included, were expecting to be extremely close, extremely contentious. It ended up being pretty one-sided in favor of TSI, and in that first game, Omega, the second-place team in the Premier League, mind you, was only able to get 2 kills in the entire game. And that's what Dorado are at right now. See if they can do better.
Okay, Unleashed was looking a little there. That's definitely one of those Skarner tunnels where it's like, okay, they're kind of looking. If the opportunity arises, you know, they go for it, but it's mostly just a howdy-ho. First turret, though, picked up by the side of, well, picked up for the side of Dorado. Can appreciate that extra gold and map control here. They also have the top lane turret pretty low, too, so that is another chunk of change they can get here for a relatively low commitment of being able to push the wave on up.
I actually, while we have the time, Gopherino, I'd like to bring us back to that last team fight that we unfortunately didn't really get to see what was happening in the fight itself. But I want to ask you specifically about the decision from Dorado to, you know, they dropped the Herald right for the prio, and then they kind of stuck around in mid lane. They realized that the Herald charge by itself wasn't going to take the tier 1 turret, and it felt like that was what they really wanted to play for, right? Was to secure that kill onto the turret. Probably that's what ended up going wrong in the fight as well, if I had to guess, as, hold on just a moment. We are going to have an engage coming out from Frozen Bullet, but the Monsoon from the Jan is going to push them back for now, and my Discord stream has tragically frozen again.
Yeah, Wiki's just having some internet issues here.
Yeah, it's not ideal. It looked like nobody went down, though, this time around.
Alrighty, we're back to the webcam stream, so we'll see if this one holds up better. I know Discord streams can be a little finicky, so it's holding up a little better so far.
Yeah. Well, it's yeah.
Yeah, only so much you can do. Like, sometimes the internet's just kind of shit.
It happens. We do the best with what we have available here in Amateur. It's just can be difficult sometimes. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that timer on the Dragon says a little over a minute. Pretty tough to read there, Gopherino, but how important do you think it is for the side of Dorado to actually put a stop to the stacking? You know, obviously if TSI get this next one, then they would be on Mountain Soul Point, and from that position, I mean, for the side of Dorado, to me, it feels pretty doomed, but what do you think there?
Yeah. I mean, Mountain Soul against this Dorado comp, it isn't like an auto loss. Hold that thought.
Yeah, we do have Walk Warlock trying to set something up, but it's just going to burn down to the Glacial Storm. Unfortunately, the Udyr didn't really have very many friends in the area, and he's just going to get taken down. Don't know if he's going to be able to get back to this bot side river before the Dragon comes up. It's going to be pretty close, but definitely it's going to be TSI with position, and we've already discussed how strong their composition can be when they do have that positional advantage.
Yeah, and I feel like the soul point's kind of guaranteed here for TSI. It's a long walk here for Walk Warlock to get into range of that, and Flash committed here.
Yeah, speaking of long walks, SK going for one right now, but should be able to outpace the Cho'Gath, and we're kind of not going to be able to catch up either. So here's the Dragon start. You can see for TSI, and Walk Warlock trying to get over here as fast as his Udyr legs can carry him, but doesn't really have a way to get into the pit, and that is going to be Soul Point going over.
Not much you can really do about that there, Udyr. Not really known for being able to dash over walls.
Certainly not.
I mean, technically, you can if you have flash up, but
But he doesn't,
Okay.
and that is going to mean that he does get taken down once again. I believe he used the flash when he had got caught out in mid lane prior to the dragon spawning.
Oh, there you go. There's the take. But with jungler being down, kind of a free Otacon take here. Do you have to be careful of how much damage you can put out here? You thankfully have 3 members, and that's usually a decent amount. We'll see what Dorado wants to do to contest here, because they got some members in the area, and they do spot this.
Yeah. But none of those members are a jungler. None of them have Smite, and Augury going to get a great trade-off here against Korra. True Shot Barrage trying to go for the Miracle Steal. Not going to happen. Caxi is, or Unleashed rather, is good with the Smite. And now, let's see here. Korra trying to get away. Tortuga has to flash to get away. The Blade does get the root, but the Xayah is still going to end up going down. Frozen Bullet now is going to have to flash away as well. Rock Warlock is back, but just in time to see the body of his AD carry lying on the ground, as it is actually the Voracious Otacon, which we haven't been seeing too much of since they made those changes. It's usually Ruinous these days, but we did have a pretty slow early game, so Voracious this time. Excited.
Yep, Voracious indeed. And that fight also kind of points out it is a little hard to get away from this Team Solo Invade composition, because once the Anivia starts slowing you, good luck getting out of that one, buddy. You kind of have to commit a flash here in order to survive that, because once the Anivia slow comes down, you know the Anivia stun, the set face breaker, all that good stuff's just going to be coming out right at you, and that's not really a fun thing.
Yeah, and the Anivia is so accelerated this game as well. I mean, remember Augury getting those 2 turrets all to himself in the bot lane while Dorado committed for the Rift Herald take. So, you know, as we can see, the Anivia very close to completing her 3rd item already. Really, really powerful. And does have level 16 now as well. Augury just ticked over. I'm not quite sure how much longer they have on this Otacon buff. Frozen Bullet can be able to dash over the wall. Does also have a Blast Cone to get away from this scary ice bird.
Yeah. 2 items there. Well, 2.5 item, I should say. So, quite a bit of damage in the bank there from just RJ.
Absolutely. You know, for the side of Dorado, their AD carries are also relatively close to those 3-item spikes, but again, it's just tough to really find an angle in these team fights. Unleashed going in. There's a Tornado is going to knock up the Xayah, who had ultimate, but wasn't able to react in time to that Howling Gale. Tortuga going to get taken down once again. 5v4 on the map. Do TSI feel comfortable to go for a Baron? Maybe it would be a bit risky. They do still have the Otacon buff, though.
Yeah, the biggest worry is, like, sure you have the Otacon buff, but if you all die there and just leash Baron for the enemy team, it gives Dorado quite a bit of leeway back into this game. The gold alone would be a nice swing for them, but the buff would be absolutely huge here. Lets you actually push against Anivia.
Definitely, yeah. So TSI, they're not going to be overly eager to start that one up. They haven't really been overly eager is not how I would describe TSI for this whole season. They've been extremely patient in their gameplay. Waiting for the right opportunity.
If you're TSI here, you don't have to be too over anxious. Like, you have the scaling advantage, you're already ahead, and you know Dorado's comp is gonna kind of struggle to really engage on you here, so just kind of push up around the map and have your way.
Absolutely. SK getting this bottom wave pushed all the way out. Let's see here. This set does have teleport. Just gonna keep hanging out in that bottom lane for now. We do have our dragons coming up in 30 seconds. Be Mountain Soul for TSI if they can get it. Still posturing around the top side right now, but they're making sure that they maintain that priority in the mid lane.
I mean, priority pretty easy to maintain when you have an Anivia at 3 items here. You got the fully stacked Roa, you got the fully stacked Seraphs, and I'm gonna guess there's a mana flow band here on Augury, so you got a lot of mana to work with here.
No doubt about it. Now we are transitioning into the bot side river. Crab is secured there by SK as well. So TSI, they've got everything they need, and Dorado are gonna have to try to force their way in. As we've said over and over, it's going to be so difficult against this Anivia. Already just placing down that Glacial Storm. And there's the double impale, comes out from Unleashed. Trouble Killer, though, does flash in. That's a lot of damage coming out from the AD carries, but Frozen Bullet going down extremely low. Walk Warlock going to burn down in that Glacial Storm as well. And it was the carries for Team Solo Invade that managed to stay safe in the fight. In the end, Dorado not able to take anybody down. Cora, the last survivor, and she will not be able to get away. SK completes the ace. The 5-0 for Team Solo Invade, and it's looking like Dorado will also be stuck with only 2 kills in this entire game.
Yep, and it looked a little good there for Dorado, because you get a good combo onto multiple people. You follow that up with a Flash Rupture. The problem is, then Hax comes out of CC, able to monsoon all of you guys away and just heal off all the damage you did, and after that, the chances went from, you know, maybe there's a shot in the dark to absolutely nothing.
That's right. Yeah, I was a little bit doubtful about the Janna in the draft, as the Nexus will fall here right around 30 minutes. A very convincing win for Team Solo Invade, but definitely in that last fight, we saw the Janna get a ton of value, like you just highlighted for us, Gofrino, and overall, a very clean game from our #1 team. What do you think about possible POG votes for this one?
Probably Hacks. I mean, they're able to just stuff a lot of engages here.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought, yeah, Janna was really instrumental in those fights. You know, Unleashed, I thought, had some great ultimates on the Skarner as well. And, you know, had those early looks, you know, was consistently pressuring the Xayah down towards the bottom lane, but I'm down to line up with you for the Hacks vote. Definitely a very solid performance, and did have the highest KDA in the game, a 15.0 KDA for the TSI support. Very nice indeed.
Pretty damn solid, yeah. And I'm curious what Dorado are going to do to rally back in this next game, because, you know, it was a pretty nice start. You get the 2 on the bot lane, you're going tit for tat in objectives, and then comp issues, it feels like, gets in the way.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I think you can't draft Teamfight against Team Solo Invade. You're never going to beat them in the 5v5s. I feel like you have to make the game messy. You have to make it chaotic. You got to be looking to pick people off. You need to draft champions that allow you to do that, that allow you to isolate targets and burst people out. If you just let Team Solo Invade draw their battle lines and line up for the team fight, they're going to beat you down every single time. That's what we've seen. But I think that's... anything else to add, Gofrino, for this first game?
Oh, no, I was just going to say, yeah, that's pretty true.
That's definitely, it's been true so far this season. We'll see if anybody's going to be able to find the secret sauce of taking down TSI. We're going to go to a short break, guys, and then Dorado going to have one more crack at it.
When the sky
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to BOL Premiere. Sorry about a little bit of a delay getting into this draft. We did a quick producer change to try and solve those internet issues we were having before. So hopefully that is all sorted out. Shout out to Shavam, our new producer, for stepping in today. Much appreciated. But taking a look at the draft here, we're mostly done with it. Go for Reno. What are maybe some of the highlights you'd like to point out?
Caitlyn potentially Karma Bot here. Okay, Caitlyn Karma Bot's interesting. Because Caitlyn typically loves being paired with supports that let you just get the headshot trap combos and just chain together those. See if that's enough to dissuade the aggression here, because we have seen this Quirky Nami duo before and how aggressive it can be in lane. And Caitlyn can struggle once you hop on top of her, like if you Valkyrie on in. And then we also have the R5 Vladimir here, interestingly. Going into the mid lane, I guess, which is not well, okay, we typically see the Vlad in the mid lane when we do see him.
Yeah, of course, is always a top lane flex as well. But with this draft for Dorado, I'm sure that the Vladimir is indeed going into that mid lane. Interesting that for the side of Dorado, I guess not surprising that they would save that R5 counterpick for Korra. But like she's been kind of the strongest carry on this team this season. So giving her the option to go for the counter pick makes sense. What do we think about that Vladimir matchup into the Lissandra specifically?
Oh, Vladimir matchups, you're basically just always playing to scale on the champion. Level 6 is a huge power spike, because when you have the Hemo Plague, you have some nice kill threat in lane, and then level 9 is a huge power spike as well, because you've maxed out your transfusion, the Q, so you're able to just heal off so much in trades here, and Lissandra as a champion just... she has a decent amount of burst, but as a champion now, she's more so designed for the utility, all the lockdown she brings and the zone control, and that's not really conducive to keeping a Vladimir down in.
Yeah, definitely. The Lissandra is a really strong pairing alongside the Viego, right? So interesting for the side of Team Solo Invade. It feels like they're experimenting a little bit, honestly, with their drafts today. Giving, it's not like we haven't seen Unleashed on any carries this season. He has pulled them out from time to time. But it really feels like Team Solo Invade, as we move into playoffs, are trying to keep their opponents guessing. They don't want to just draft the same composition every game. Making sure that people have to worry about some of their other players besides mid and AD picking up those carry threats is something that I think should bode pretty well for them looking towards that postseason. But yeah, the Lissandra Viego, a great mid-jungle pairing, and should be able to run the map early against Vladimir Sejuani, I would imagine.
Yeah, for sure. And of course, TSI, they are playing with their sub in the mid lane today, so that could also be influencing some changes here in the draft. And yeah, definitely going to be the Viego Corgi game here from the side of TSI. You want the Viego to kind of pop off in these fights, because of a Viego who doesn't get resets, not really the most threatening champion in the world.
Yeah. And again, for the side of Team Solo Invade, they are a bit light on frontline just in general, right? It's really just the Ornn. We know SK is a fantastic Ornn player. He's had great performances on the Forge God this season. But the Ornn is still only 1 health bar, right? So that's one of Viego's main weaknesses, right? Is the fact that he really struggles when he is part of that first wave, right? If the Viego is trying to be the primary engage, he tends to get burst down and then isn't able to get those resets like you were just talking about. So we'll see if that ends up being an issue at all for Team Solo Invade. But, with the Ornn and the Lissandra there, it seems like they probably should have enough tools to start out these fights without needing that Viego to go in first, right?
Yeah, for sure. Of course, having dive buddies is also crucial here. The Ornn doesn't exactly dive in too hard when you cast the ulti for obvious reasons, so do you have to be worried about that? And the side of Dorado, not the squishiest outside of the bot lane here. Volibear, Sejuani, obviously their frontliners are going to be pretty beefy, even if it's the full AP Volibear, who is pretty squishy. You have a decent baseline amount of health. The Vladimir as well, you get a little deceptively tanky on. You get a lot of health from the passive, so something to just keep in mind here when going against this Dorado composition.
Yeah, absolutely. They do have a lot of sustain between the Volibear and the Vladimir. Karma being able to, put those mantra shields on everybody as well can be really powerful. But when we zoom out a little bit, Gopherino, and we remember, these teams, yeah, and I'm sure you remember what I was just talking about before we went to break, the fact that I really feel like drafting team fight against Team Solo Invade is not necessarily the way to go. And I feel like with the Vladimir lock-in on the R5 slot here, I mean, yes, Vladimir is the kind of champion that it feels like Korra's kind of bread and butter, right? Like a scaling mage in the mid lane. She tends to do really well on these characters that scale up and are big carry threats later on into the game. But I just feel like it's so difficult to make that work against this TSI roster. What do you think of this Dorado draft more generally, Gopherino? Like, do you think that with this draft they are kind of shoehorned into playing for the team fights? Do you think they could, maybe find another way of playing out this draft? What are kind of your thoughts more generally on their win conditions with this composition?
They could maybe win 3-1 here. Because Volibear can be a strong side laner. Vladimir, I believe, can be a strong side laner as well later on in the game, because you're just able to 1v1 a lot of champions when you pop the Hemoblade and get the fully charged E off on people. That does so much damage. You ever see the scaling, you go, wow, that's a lot of numbers for a basic ability that you're going to be casting quite a bit here. So they could look for that. Full-on team fighting, though, I think is what we're going to end up on here from Dorado Gaming. Just given the comp here and given what we've seen so far this series, they're probably going to be looking for the team fights as well.
It feels like the likely scenario for me as well. And it just really didn't work out for them at all in the previous games. So hopefully they with this draft, they're going to be able to set up those fights a little bit better. Or we could be in for a pretty quick first series here. The Vladimir, of course, has been kind of flavor of the month, has been seeing quite a bit of play actually over there in Korea at the First Stand tournament. So, yeah, that is interesting. We'll see if Korra is going to be able to take some learnings from that pro play Vladimir and see if she's going to be able to make it happen in this one. You have a prediction for the second game, Gopherino? Are you leaning pretty significantly one way or the other in terms of these compositions, these drafts?
I kind of like Dorado's comp here a little bit because they have the super strong front line. I am worried about the bot lane and mid lane, though. I don't know. Vladimir early on in lane can struggle a little because you don't really have the best wave clear. You do have health costs attached to two of your abilities here, and you don't have the sustain just yet, so I am worried on that front here. But if we turn off the nameplates, kind of favoring Dorado's comp here a little bit more because I'm worried on the TSI side because they're very much a two-threat composition. And if the Volibear plus Sejuani here are able to just itemize full armor here, good luck getting through that as Corki and go.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll see if that is going to be the call for Dorado. The Vladimir definitely feels like he's going to need some time to come online. Giving over mid-prio for the first portion of this game over to Team Solo Invade definitely feels like a risky gambit, but maybe Dorado have a plan that we're just not aware of just yet. We're going to go into a short break, guys, and we'll be back onto Summoner's Rift for game number 2. 6, 7, 8, 9. Are we good? Oh, we're live. Okay. Oh, I seem to be a little bit behind. Where are you at, Mr. Producer? If you could just count for me.
9, 30, 31, 32, 33. All right,
Oh, we've
well,
got a pause. Fantastic. Thank you,
that's an easy way to
teams.
sync up.
So you're at 33 right now?
It looks it, yeah.
Okay, all right. So perfect. That did somehow work out. Here we go. On to the Rift for our second game. We're gonna have Team Solo Invade, of course, is on the blue side this time around. Dorado Gaming is going to be trying their luck from the red. Any runes or summoner spells that you would like to highlight, Mr. Goferino?
Nothing too much. I guess Conk on the Vladimir. That's new to me. I don't know if that's the usual.
Yeah, the Conqueror of Vladimir definitely caught my eye as well. I do think that the Vladimir is going to have a pretty difficult time stacking the Conqueror. Definitely indicates to me that Korra is really expecting some more extended team fights in this game, some really drawn out fights, that's going to allow the Vladimir to really sort of take his time, get multiple rotations off to be able to actually get some value from that rune. So we'll see if that is going to come through. But again, I feel like that's a risky proposition against this TSI roster.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm just so used to seeing the phase rush on Vladimir because the champion benefits so much from move speed because you proc that and then you're able to just keep staying on top of people or dip out from trades. So yeah, I don't know if this is a new thing on Vladimir. I haven't really been able to keep up too much with First Strike because, it's good. It's premiering on Korean time, so by the time we wake up, it's just over for the day.
That's right, yeah. You really have to go full degen gamer mode to be able to keep up with those games. I've been trying my best to be as degenerate as possible, but even I have missed a few of them. But yeah, the Vladimir's definitely been getting played a decent amount, particularly by HLE. The Korean representative has been playing him in both mid and top lane several times now. They've pulled out the Vladimir, so yeah. We'll see what Korra is able to get done with the pick this time around. It is going to be the Dark Seal start, so again, indicating that she's probably looking to play the long game.
Yeah, Dark Seal, pretty solid start in Vladimir. The Doran's Ring, if you can't recover mana, it does help you regen health instead, but the Seal, you get that. It does boost the effectiveness of your pot, so you can start that in refillable if you so please. So it gives you some nice early sustain if you do so please. And the snowballing can be a bit of a benefit if you do happen to get ahead.
Absolutely. Just to keep everybody updated, it looks like the issue is some ping for some of the players. The internet is not great there either.
Damn, they cut Wookiee's internet
today. Exactly right. Yeah, it's contagious apparently. So that's not great, but hopefully we'll be able to get back into things soon.
Yeah, hopefully. Because you never know with these sorts of disconnects. Because sometimes it's very simple. You just exit and rejoin. Things are fine. Sometimes you have to restart the PC. Sometimes you have to fully restart your router. Sometimes you're just out of luck and you have to deal with it or run over to somebody's house. God forbid you have to do the very cursed run to McDonald's and play on that Wi-Fi.
Oh, God. Yeah, that is never ideal. Hopefully that's we're gonna be able to avoid that one.
Hopefully.
But yeah, I mean, what are you expecting from these junglers in the early minutes, Goferinos? We haven't talked too much about the early expectations for this game. We did say that the Vladimir Sejuani are not really going to be able to do much early, probably. So then the question really is, what is Unleashed going to be looking to get done on this Viego?
Viego, you typically lean towards the side of just full clearing and then full clearing again here, I feel. Of course, you can't always look for ganks if the opportunities do present themselves. You do have a bit of CC yourself, and of course, all your lanes here can set up for you, as looks like we are getting back into game here. Don't think we've hit the pause just yet, though, so can't wait for that bug that they still haven't fixed after all these goddamn years to rear its head. There we go. And as for Walk Warlock, I mean, it's Sejuani. We kind of know what this champion's game plan is. Do full clear, try and get a gank off. If you can't do that, I don't know, look somewhere else for a gank.
Yeah. We'll see. The team is posturing around the mid lane at the moment.
I just saw in Twitch chat, Arrow Cross. I'm gonna assume it's pronounced Cross here, unless it's X Ross. They had a power outage once, and they had to play on their laptop in their car using phone internet.
Wow.
Spot, so
that's brutal.
A little rough on
like
that one.
A league game, like a competitive game.
I hope not.
That would be indeed very tragic. Hopefully, that's not the case for our players in this one. Didn't actually get word on if there's anything specific that fixed the issue, but we do seem to be back for now, at least. So we are going to have Walk Warlock starting on his red buff on Vision. So there's going to be full information for Team Solo Invade. For the side of Dorado, they did also get that Raptor ward down, so they're going to see Unleashed in just a moment here as well.
Yeah, nice start there. Of course, in the mid lane, we saw TSI. They kind of have to run away here. Well, okay. Aguri has to run away because TSI is the team here. Because once Vlad has that empowered transfusion, you can't really walk up to trade with the champion. That third Q just does so much damage.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ooh, level 2 power spike here. Okay. Nice trade.
Yeah. So SK is just going to be playing the weak side. We've seen him do it a million times this season on the Ornn. And I'm sure he's going to be able to weather the storm against Trouble Killer's Volibear. Going to do his very best, at least. As we are going to have this Caitlyn Karma lane, of course, should have priority as well. So while the side of Dorado, you know, with the Vladimir R5 pick, they're not going to have that mid control, but they should have pushing side lanes at the very least. So we'll see if they're going to be able to utilize that, if Walk Warlock's going to be able to utilize that push in the sides to get some of these objectives at least, get them in a decent spot moving into the mid game. Is going to be really important, I think.
Yeah, for sure. And that's what Sejuani loves doing, just kind of acting as a bridge for your team to get them into the mid game, thanks to your pretty damn solid ganks early on. Does kind of suck, though. You only have one other melee on your team here to really turbo stack that permafrost. That one's going to be rough here for sure. You do at least have one extra champion, though, but typically when you lock into Sejuani, having two other melee teammates just helps a lot in team fights.
Absolutely. Oh, good backstep there for Hax. Almost getting hit by the net. Not quite going to come through. The junglers will trade off the early Scuttle Crabs. Cora actually getting the wave pushed out here in mid lane as well. Viego wrapping around. Let's see if Unleashed is going to find a little bit of an angle here, perhaps, as Aguri trying to set this one up. There's the flash in for the Spectral Maw. Did Cora just not have the pool available, or did she not react in time? I'm not sure.
I think Cora just got caught out there. Like, a little too surprised by that. We see the flash committed there from Unleashed. More than worth it to pick up that first blood there. It also goes to them as well. Viego's one of the few junglers in the game.
He's wrapping around. He's wrapping around. He's looking for Frozen Bullet next. The Karma's going to catch him out. The Spectrum Maw is going to land RJ Valk forward. That's going to be the flash away for the Karma. This time the net will connect onto RJ. Corki going down extremely low. So the Viego spending a little bit of extra time on the map there. Does get the flashes out from both Caitlyn and Karma. So pretty worthwhile, but will now be down a bit of tempo compared to the Warlock.
Yeah, we'll see what happens here, because obviously you got some nice pickups there. You force out two summoners here on the bot side. Is that worth the tempo loss? I'd say it's not too bad. You're just going to be able to pick up your camp here. You already got the bot lane Scuttle. Should be all respawning here. Biggest worry, I guess, might be just being able to get a back off here to do Dragon, but you're fine with it.
Yeah, it looks like Unleashed is actually just not going to go for the base at all. It's just going to immediately go into his second clear. So, fair enough, I guess. It's going to be just marginally behind the Sejuani in that case, but does mean that if he runs into the Sejuani, it's going to be a little bit difficult, actually, to win out in that fight. So, has to be a little bit careful.
Yeah, Giants built gap.
Warlock actually going to have a little bit of a look towards this top lane. SK did just hit level 6, though, so has access to the Call of the Forge God. Is going to get him out of this one, as it doesn't even need it. Just going to be able to walk it off underneath the turret. And Warlock is in the vicinity for the grub spawn, but channeling the recall right now. Canceling it.
Okay. I think that's fair.
Here comes the Lissandra. Augury with the mid-prio. SK checks the bush, backstep, gets away from the Arctic Assault, and here comes the Call of the Forge God. Oh, Warlock's in so much trouble, tries to flash away, but in comes the Lissandra, casts the Frozen, 2 minutes, the Viego is here, should be able to supply the last little bit of damage, no flash anymore on the Warlock. Augury takes the kill. 2-0 now on the board for TSI. Even Hax is here, just for good measure, just to make absolutely sure that nothing could go wrong with this play. And this is going to be all 3 grubs now for TSI as well. Are Tortuga and Frozen Bullet going to be able to get anything in the bottom lane? RJ is sidestep on that empowered Q. That's at least 1 turret plate going over. Nice Valkyrie to get away from the Piltover Peacemaker. And the Corki's going to be able to get most of this wave. Although we do have Korra roaming down now on the Vladimir. As we can see, they need to punish RJ here, or this is just... the minion wave's gone, though. Korra's too late. And now Hax is back.
I think they just go for Dragon here.
Yeah, I think the Dragon would be a way better play. They are going to get the teleport out from the Lissandra. The bubble's going to land over the wall. No follow-up comes through. We do have Unleashed moving down towards this bottom side of the map now as well.
Oof, yeah. And just a little desync there on the plate here from Dorado for that bot lane dive. Just RJ could be more than happy with that. You only give up the 1 plate there, I believe. Okay, no, looks like 2 plates.
Yeah.
So you get some extra gold in the bank here. 2 plates split between 2 members. You know, it's an amount of gold here. It'll give you a small boost compared to your opponent, which should be about 150 gold, if I am recalling correctly. And they don't go for the Dragon here, interestingly enough, since multiple members from TSI, you know, they're able to just pivot on down from those grubs.
Yeah, now Augury's going to be able to get the push in mid again. RJ in a little bit of trouble. Is going to be able to Valk away, though. Gets away from the Karma Tether, and now Frozen Bullet is the one taking a bit of punishment. Unleash, Heartbreaker over the wall, and Frozen Bullet is down. The feat of warfare all ready for Team Solo Invade. They are cruising through this early game.
And Dorado, whereas last game, you know, they're able to keep pretty even here for the most part. This time around, like, they're down 3 kills. They lost first Grubs. Now they're losing first Dragon. Things are definitely going south for them much quicker this time around.
That's right, yeah. That early game in the previous one was really slow. I'm glad you mentioned that, Goferino, as this time around, seems like TSI with their prio mid jungle, they're using it really well. A Stormbringer in the top lane, though. SK, really nice knock up to buy a little bit of time. Now Call of the Forge God comes out as well. That's a flash away from Trouble Killa. The Sky Splitter is not going to land, so there's a trade of the ultimates, but a flash down for the Bear. Not able to really get anything for it.
Yeah, and Trouble Killa, they probably really wish they were able to finish off that kill. Tricky to dive on under turret, because if you're diving under turret, that means you're typically right by a wall there. It's very easy to just searing charge into that one and knock you on up, and then call the Forge God, and next thing you know, you've been stuck under turret taking it for 4 seconds and you're dead.
Man, it's just too difficult to punish SK. Dude's a weak side warrior. We've seen it all season. He has just been rock solid up there for the team. So consistent.
And keeping it up this game, of course, you're down CS here. Bit of a scuffle over the Raptors. Nothing too much coming of it, but you're down about 2 waves, so Trouble Killa is at least getting something along with a plate or 2 on this champion, but that's not enough to make up for the deficit you have in the bot side of the map right now, and also in the jungle as well. This Viego getting accelerated, definitely scary.
Absolutely right. Yeah, and you were highlighting, some potential damage concerns for the side of TSI with this draft, and the fact that they really are kind of all in on just the Viego and the Corki. But when the Viego and the Corki both have a kill in the first 10 minutes, they're probably feeling totally fine about that.
Yeah, and And put him in a nice position here. You have the Malignant stun as well here for TSI. Very aggressive angle as this Lissandra. You do, of course, appreciate the ultimate ability haste because this champion very much defined by her ultimate in team fights. Like, okay, yeah, you're able to get, W's down, you're able to claw on in, but there's a reason why you only ever really hear the name Glacial Prison in team fights when Lissandra's around, because that's the one you care about with this champion.
Yeah, I do like this call from Dorado. They've rotated their bot lane into mid to try to contest the second round of grubs. And we have Korra now just holding it down, trying to continue scaling up in the bot lane. Actually goes for the Hemo Plague onto RJ. Korra looking for the all-in towards the bottom side right now. RJ going down extremely low. Vladimir goes into the pool. RJ tries to flash away to stay alive. Korra still on the chase, has the flash, gets in there for the Q, claims the solo kill, but on the top side, Agari with the Glacial Path moves in, locks down the Caitlyn. Tortuga going to be the first one to drop while Warlock flashes away and still is going to get taken down as well. So Dorado, they managed to get on the board as Korra finds one in the side lane, but in the team fight, it's once again Team Solo Invade on top.
Yeah, TSI just feels like they're one step ahead here. They're already setting up for the grubs. They already have the vision placed, so if you approach, it's very easy for them to collapse here. And once the reset train comes through for this Viego Unleashed, kind of unstoppable.
Yeah, and this is going to be all 6 grubs going over to TSI as well. It's not like they have a crazy split pushing composition, but that is going to be the feat of monster slaying, so they do now have the upgraded shoes locked down.
Yep, bit of a nasty Nando there. They've gotten all first 3 objectives out of this game. Dorado not even able to claim a single grub for themselves. This is brutal territory. You're going to be very thankful. It's really only going to be turbo abused by just RJ here and Unleashed, but...
It's so sad for Korra. Just got her recall stopped down here in the bottom lane. It's SK not really able to pressure further.
Yeah, the Vladimir has the maxed out transfusion now, so able to heal up quite a bit back here. Does have the Hemo Plague available again as well, and SK pretty low on mana, so maybe there's a bit of an all-in angle here, but there's also Leandri's to pick up here and a Dragon in 45 seconds. Now's a pretty good time to reset. Never mind, it's going to be the Rift Maker just for this prolonged fights here, and yeah, good pickup here.
It synergizes well with the rune choice, right? So there is that. But I don't know if one item, Vladimir, I don't know if we can really say that that's online for Korra just yet, right? When do we really need to start fearing the Vladimir in the fights, do you reckon?
I mean, in the team fights? I don't know, because I know Vladimir is actually a hyperscaler, which is like kind of weird to say. The champion, like, you just look at the kid and go like, okay, yeah, this seems like a, probably spikes in the mid game, generally okay late game, but it turns out you just have really good scalings as this champion.
Ooh, Unleashed flashes in, finds another engage onto Frozen Bullet, and the Karma's just going to get obliterated. Double root coming out from Augury there as well. Korra barely able to get into the Sanguine Pool in time. Still going to get taken down by the Lissandra passive there, I believe it was. That finished off the Vladimir. Very nice from SK. Steps in front of that Bullet, tanks it for RJ. It's going to be 2 more kills for TSI. And they're coming out on top once again. It looks so simple, Goferino. They make it look so easy.
Yeah, they just find another angle there. You just jump immediately in. Next thing you know, you got 2 kills there, and yeah, this is a very rough spot to be in if you're a Dorado fan, because it's a hard one to call it back. You have the Vlad who can hyperscale. The Vladimir is 1 and 2, not the best, but you have the first item online. The problem is, like, you just look at the enemy board. 3-0 Viego. Okay, 3-0 Lissandra. Maybe not the scariest thing, but I'm going to pack a decent punch here. The farmed up Corki just completed the Triforce here. Your only frontline is this Sejuani for Walk Warlock, who is still struggling to finish off what I assume is going to be the Warmogs here. Oh, wait, no, that's Heartsteel.
Still no first item done for the Sejuani at 15 minutes is definitely painful. I was kind of concerned. I expressed some concern in the draft for the side of TSI about their potential lack of engage, right? Saying that Viego really struggles if he's the primary engage. But Unleashed has made me look a bit of a fool in this one has consistently been able to start off these fights, finding the flash stun with the Spectral Maw multiple times now to catch out these vulnerable members on the side of Dorado. Been really, really good on the Viego.
Yeah, you're also really thankful that you have some nice follow-up here. I mean, Aguri?
Oh?
Aguri? No,
I assume it's Augury, but I could be wrong. So yeah, Cora wanted to go for the all-in, but I guess the pool was on cooldown, not able to fully commit underneath the tower. Lissandra Viego playing towards the top side of the map now. Herald is up. Oh, a lot of damage onto RJ, but the Corki trades it back. It's more damage onto the Caitlyn, and Unleashed is going to find the Son of the Frozen Bullet, but the Karma with enough movement speed. Burning the heal there as well to get back underneath the turret, but another kill set up by TSI. They are going to be able to transition that into the Rift Heralds. Cora at least gets a consolation turret, I think she's about to get in the bottom lane there. No, in fact, SK returns to defend that turret. RJ just keeping up the pressure here in the mid lane, while Unleashed focuses down the objective.
We did get confirmation, or what I assume is confirmation from TSI Brandon in chat. It is Augury.
Augury.
They originally said Ageti, which would be very funny. One of the players named after probably a form of spaghetti.
I could see it. I could see it, yeah. Shout out Brendan, by the way. Had a fun encounter with him the other week in solo queue. Cool. Glad to see he's hanging around for this one.
Yeah, it's been really funny too. There's been like one instance in the past where I was playing solo queue, and then like there's 2 higher elo players I've casted for who are smurfing. Okay, all I'm on the top side here.
Sounds like it was a fun experience.
Yeah, and they recognized me. They're like, "Oh, Go Farino, you've cast our games before." I'm like, "Yeah." They're like, "Okay, cool. We're high diamond smurfing in this. We'll carry you." I'm like, "Cool."
Oh, they were on your team. Oh, that's good news then. I thought at first that they were on the enemy team.
Oh no.
That's good. That's good. Well, let's see here, Go Farina. We've got a Dragon in 90 seconds, and we've got a Corki on top of a Karma, Frozen Bullet. Is he going to be able to get away? The answer is absolutely not. Ooh. Just got torn to pieces by the artillery there of RJ. The Corki does also take a bunch of damage for his troubles. Here comes Unleashed in the mid lane. Another flash stun from the Viego. Heartbreaker. There's that little bit of extra damage comes out from the Corki. It's a spree for RJ. 10-1 now on the board for Team Solo Invade.
Yeah. It's a rough one here. Like
another day at the office for TSI.
Yeah, because Frozen Bullet, they're just warding their own jungle there. Suddenly Corki just Valkyries over the wall and pops you there. You didn't have heal. You're forced to flash, and even then, that's not enough. And Warlock just walking away from the mid lane there. Did not see the Viego just coming on in here from Unleashed with that flash maw.
Oh, Cora. Oh, she finds the dive. Gets another solo kill in the side lane for the Vladimir. Level 13 now. So he's starting to scale up a little bit. The Blood Mage. Is it going to be in time, though? 20 seconds on the Dragon. TSI isn't necessarily set up for this one, Go Farino.
Yeah. Because the other issue is, like, this Vlad, you're only 2-2. You're not, like, super massively ahead. Being able to 1v1 the enemy tank in a side lane, that's good. You get a turret off of that. You don't really get anything else, though. And like you said, this Dragon spawning time, maybe if it had been, like, 10, 15 seconds sooner, they can pivot towards that with the 5 versus 4, but yeah. If this is just go point over to TSI.
The timing not really working out there. I mean, I just think as Dorado, you had to play around the Dragon, right? I mean, I don't know if we can pin that on Cora for, like, going for the play when she should have been saving her resources for the Dragon fight. I don't know if that's fair, but I mean, just giving over the Dragon, it feels like game over to me, Go Farino. I mean, do you have a different read here? I mean, it's just I don't understand how you play as Dorado from this position now.
Yeah, because you had 2 top here. Trouble Killa, low on mana, has to back. Could teleport down, but it would have been way too late there for anything. And unfortunate timings there on that whole rotation. And Dorado recognizing, like, yeah, we probably don't win this 3 versus 4, which feels extremely bad. Because you want to do something, but you just kind of can't.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. It's all down to Korra's scaling on the Vladimir now. That's their only chance, really, it feels like, left in this game. You know, Tortuga and Frozen Bullets, initially, it looks like they were having a pretty good laning phase, but, oh, we got a play breaking out towards the bottom side. Tidal Wave comes out, the bubble is there, that person for the follow-up, but Triple Killer tries to flash forward to get that damage out, but it's just not quite able to finish anybody off, and now it's going to have to ult out. Augury, though, could be in trouble. It's a nice Ring of Frost there to stun up the Sejuani. And both sides looking like they're kind of ready to back away as, yeah, there's the Valk out for RJ. But Augury goes in! So much burst damage in the Frozen Tomb keeps the mid laner safe as well. Trouble Killer trying to get that little bit of damage out, but now the bodies start to drop as RJ is the one with the dips at the moment. That's going to be 2 more kills, and Korra could be in trouble up here in the top lane as well. The Hemoplague does go down. She goes into the Spectral Pool, or Sanguine Pool, quite early, and the Spectral Maw is there to greet her when she comes out. And I think this one is officially over, if you ask me, Goferino.
Yeah, like, the avenues to come back here are very limited for the side of Dorado. If you wait it out, maybe, sure, you don't really have the best scaling and you have to do the Ornn items, but maybe the fabled 6-item Vladimir here is just able to one-shot everyone on the enemy team. I don't think that happens, but maybe it does. It's just hard. Yeah, because you're already down like 6k in the pot right now. You lost the feats, you're down every single objective here. The only thing you've claimed is the singular turret.
Yeah, I'm just really hoping that Dorado can get at least 1 more kill in this game. Get up to 3 kills. That would be something. They would have really liked to get a win, I think, in this match to try and improve their seeding. But again, they are locked for playoffs regardless. So this wasn't really like a do or die match for them necessarily. And honestly, it was just really unfortunate that, you know, the way things worked out, that this was your week 7 opponent, right? When you're trying to have a good start going into playoffs, but then you just happen to draw the number 1 team as your last opponent of the round robin. It's a little bit unlucky, right? But you know, at least Dorado can hang on to that. They are still going to have that playoff berth regardless. They're going to have another week to try and sort out some of those consistency issues that they have been having. Ultimately, this was always going to be a really, really tough match for them, right? So I don't think they should beat themselves too much about it. Trouble Killer is going to go in, does take down that top tier 1 turret, but SK is just going to be able to walk this one off. I mean, he's so tanky at this point on the Ornn. And Trouble Killer, of course, going for the tank build to try to buy that, provide that little bit of additional front line. It means he can't really pressure the Ornn at all in the side lane. SK just going to be able to dash away from that one. The rest of the team is going to take the objective on the other side of the map. That's going to be Otacon going over. It is the Voracious this time around. So it's the GA Otacon again for us, Goferino. And that is, of course, going to persist into the spawn of both the Mountain Soul and the Baron. And yeah, not much more else to say, I think.
So Trouble Killer rushes the Spirit Visage here. Gets the cool hat. I'll hold that thought.
Oh, the Flash Away still going to get tagged there by the Glacial Tomb, and the Forge God is going to rear its head. Korra gets taken down once again. Those Dark Seal stacks going to be knocked off.
Yeah. And...
Oh, no, you're falling asleep, Goferino. They're putting you to sleep.
I guess a little,
dear.
Yeah. But, yeah, Dorado, it's kind of lights out in this game for them. I mean, bit of a victory lap here for Team Solo Invade. Because this means they'll have won every single one of their regular games. Well, regular season games here, I should say. They've only lost 1 singular game in 1 series.
2. It's been 2 games. They lost 1 here. Hang on, I have it just a second here. I have that information for you. They lost 1 game in
they're walking on in here. Bubble lands. Love Doom on in.
Tidal Wave comes out for the CC. A Frozen Bullet. Extremely low health. Vigo gets in there. Gets that first reset. And Unleashed Unstoppable. 5-0 now in this game. Heartbreaker over the wall. Looking for Tortuga as well. The Caitlyn just melts died in an instant from full HP there. Unleashed, using the net to go forward aggressively. Had to be a little bit careful. It was very squishy on the Caitlyn, but able to heartbreak her out. Korra trying to get it done. Steps on a trap. Oh, she's going to be okay. All right.
Yeah.
The inhibitor is going to go down.
Just like that. The base is broken, open here. You have to deal with Soul. But how are you going to contest this? Tortuga's not going to be up in time for this. Your base is broken open. You guys are all limping, and you have waves to clear. Feels bad, but you kind of have to give her the Mounted Soul here because there's no contest that you can.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have a choice. There's no way for Dorado to get even close to this pit before the dragon goes down. But yeah, the 2 games that Team Solo Invade have lost this season, there was 1 loss to Elysium in week number 2, and they lost 1 game to High Alert in week 4. In both of those games, those teams drafted champions that were able to isolate targets and take them down. You know, for the side of Elysium, there was a Blitzcrank in that game that found some really great hooks. And then I believe for High Alert in that week number 4 game, I believe there was a Syndra, if I recall correctly, that, you know, you obviously can just use the outplay button to take down 1 target, and then the fight's a little bit more playable from that point. Yeah, Trouble Killa might be getting killed himself, is in a whole lot of trouble. And there, in fact, it is.
Yeah, and Trouble Killer, most of their Stormbringers this game, they've had to use to just get away from people engaging on them because you're so squishy here as this Volibear with only a Spirit Massage and some extra health. That, yeah, you kind of just get schmelted here, and unsurprisingly, you can't really contest this Baron here. Walk Warlock could go for the Miracle Steal, but it is well worded, so you right on the enemy vision. Baron goes on over. They still have the Soul here. Maybe they get a pick?
Yeah, I don't want to harp on it too much. You know, dogging on Dorado would just be mean, right? But for Trouble Killa, I don't necessarily love the Spirit Visage into the what's that item called again? The Spirit Drive, Cosmic Drive.
Oh, Cosmic Drive.
I feel like
I remember
you gotta commit to like the damage build or the tank build, right? Trying to do a little bit of both just feels like you have neither at that point.
Yeah, I know there is, of course, the Jack of all trades Volibear build, but
let's see. Are TSI going to be able to end the game here? In goes the Lissandra, finding a massive amount of CC, and the rest of the team just dog piles in there underneath the Nexus turrets. And poor Dorado's going to get absolutely obliterated. Korra trying to get 1 back, almost able to take down the Viego, but Unleashed flashes away, and the peel is there. He gets another reset. Korra's not going to be able to take anybody down. Dorado's going to be stuck on 2 kills yet again. And Team Solo Invade complete their undefeated run to finish the regular season.
Yeah, it's just been dominance for them this entire split so far, and we'll see if they can continue that into playoffs, because just due to the nature of this game with how patches happen, you know, sometimes teams can run into some postseason troubles. But right now, they are definitely on top of the world.
Absolutely, yeah. You know, they pulled out the Viego in this one, a little bit of a different look for Unleashed. I thought Unleashed had a fantastic game on that Viego. For the most part, though, you know, it really feels like Team Solo Invade have played one style. You know, I think they're a very predictable team, right? It's just nobody's been able to beat them. It doesn't help if you know what they're going to do. If there's nothing you can do to stop them, then they just keep winning. They just win and win and win over and over and over again. Somebody is going to need to find an answer at some point.
Yeah. Sooner rather than later, because once we get into playoffs, you know, there's only so many goofs you can have before out entirely from the season.
That's right, yeah. I don't think it's double elimination our playoff bracket either. I'm not 100% sure, but I believe it is a single elimination bracket. So TSI, I mean, especially after picking up that really convincing win over Omega last week as well, I mean, at this point, Team Solo Invade are very, very heavy favorites to take the whole thing, I have to imagine.
Yeah, it's going to be on these teams to find a way to take down TSI. Like you said, their few losses have been against champions that can single out people, pick off people, or even just force chaos around the map via split pushing. But hey.
Yeah, well, who's our POG for this second game, Go Farina? You got a lot of great options. We're really spoiled for choice here. Pretty much everybody on the side of TSI had a fantastic game here. Honestly, both games, everybody looked really on form. Special props to Augury. What was it again? Augury, right? Yeah, for stepping in as the substitute today and just slotted in beautifully. I mean, the team really did not miss a beat with Augury in the roster here. But who's your vote?
I was going to give it to Augury here because basically in every single team fight, it felt like they just claw Doom on in, they get a massive ulti off, and then Unleashed is able to go to town.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, that goes back to our discussion as well. I thought Unleashed, when he decided to be the one to start off the fights, that ended up working out really well. But having Lissandra start things off, I feel like is the much more consistent option. And Augury did a phenomenal job in that regard. Like you said, going in there with the glacial path and able to find all of that CC, all of that initial burst damage to set up the Viego to just pop off and do his Viego things. It looked absolutely fantastic for them. So I'm happy to align with you there, Gofrino, for the Augury vote. You have any other final thoughts on this match before we move on to our second best of 3 for tonight?
Not really. I mean, kind of already stated TSI. Very dominant showing this season.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The 7-0 record, the undefeated round robin for Team Solo Invade. They are looking incredibly fearsome moving into that postseason. For our second best of 3 tonight, we are, of course, going to have High Alert, who unfortunately are no longer in contention for the playoffs, going up against Elysium, who are in that big cluster at 3 wins. So we'll see if Elysium are going to be able to get those much-needed points right after the break.